The Democrat convention has opened in disarray after an email scandal has split their party. Now many Bernie Sanders supporters are promising they won't vote for Hillary Clinton.
Democratic leaders are trying to bring the party back together, but as David Brody reports from Philadelphia, that won't be easy.
Bernie Sanders may have come in second place, but you couldn't tell that from his welcome. The avowed socialist received a nearly 3-minute standing ovation from thousands of his supporters. They had no cheers for the party machine, however, believing that the establishment stacked the deck against him.
I understand that many people here in this convention hall and around the country are disappointed about the final results of the nominating process. But to all of our supporters here and around the country, I hope you take enormous pride in the historical accomplishments we have achieved.
All day, Sanders supporters showed their anger over leaked emails showing that Democrat Party officials worked to help Hillary Clinton win the nomination rather than stay neutral. They took to the streets. Their boos and threats of further protests forced the resignation of the chairwoman of the party.
All right, everybody now, settle down.
Not even the opening prayer was spared once Hillary Clinton's name was mentioned.
God, you have given us wisdom. Now give us courage for the facing of this hour.
It got so bad that at one point, Speaker Sarah Silverman simply got fed up.
Can I just say to the Bernie or bust people, you're being ridiculous.
First Lady Michelle Obama tried to turn the tide when she took the stage.
In this election, there is only one person who I trust with that responsibility. Only one person who I believe is truly qualified to be president of the United States, and that is our friend Hillary Clinton.
But this was Bernie's night, and in his primetime speech, he opted to be a team player, citing how his political revolution made the Democrats' agenda even more liberal.
Our job now is to see that strong Democratic platform implemented by a Democratic-controlled Senate, by a Democratic House, and a Hillary Clinton presidency. Hillary Clinton will make an outstanding president, and I am proud to stand with her tonight.
But Bernie Sanders supporters aren't on the Hillary train quite yet. Can you get there? Can you vote for her?
She hasn't earned my vote yet. We are feeling like we need to have our voices heard. Like this election has been something where working people of the United States are not being heard. They're not being represented.
They're also not happy with Tim Kaine, Clinton's choice for vice president. They think he's too moderate. But Clinton advisor Bernie Strider tells CBN News that Kaine preaches the social justice message that the Sanders people actually like.
Senator Kaine is a guy that lives the Catholic social justice teaching. Not just in his life as a Catholic layman, he lives it out every day when he steps on the Capitol Hill.
If you're the Democrats, you hope the worst is over at this point. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is gone, Bernie Sanders has already spoken, and now you enter the wheelhouse portion of the convention. Bill Clinton speaking Tuesday night, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton to follow later in the week. Of course, Vice Presidential nominee Tim Kaine will speak on Wednesday. And Bernie Sanders folks have already said they may indeed protest that in some form or fashion. It's all part of As the Democrats Turn, a soap opera playing out here in Philadelphia. David Brody, CBN News, at the Democratic National Convention in Philly.
Well, we'll be showing you all the recent news, all the Democrat turnings from the convention. Our coverage is going to be all this week, and you'll have a front row seat to it all. What I think both parties have missed, and when you look at this election, you've got to understand there's an underlying outrage. I don't have another word for it in the electorate. And I don't think it's just here in the United States. The Brexit vote in Great Britain, where we want to leave the European Union, we don't want to be a part of that anymore. That was sort of out of the blue. No one actually anticipated that they would vote to leave. And in this election cycle, this is the craziest presidential election cycle of my lifetime. And it's, let's throw the bums out. If you're an incumbent, it's like you have a target on your back. And they want change. People want change in America today. They obviously want change in Great Britain. But the ultimate poll is going to be in November. Make sure you're registered and you can participate in this wonderful election. Well, the leaked emails from the Democratic National Committee also exposed something else, and something we've long suspected. The party often worked with the news media. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, some conservative critics are saying, "We told you so." They argue the emails are proof the Democrats often have a tight relationship with the liberal media, while keeping the conservative media at arm's length. Heather Sells has the story.
Thanks to WikiLeaks, close to 20,000 emails from Democratic Party officials are now out and open to the public. These emails reveal that not only did Democratic Party officials favor Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, they also show the extent to which party officials collude with the mainstream media.
We have maintained for years that the press was an offshoot of the DNC. And that was kind of a rhetorical statement, but it turns out it's true.
Brent Bazell with the conservative media watchdog group MRC says the emails confirm what his organization has understood.
There has been an ongoing active participation between the supposedly objective neutral press and the Democratic National Committee.
The emails show that the Democratic National Committee often ignored requests from conservative-leaning media while working with other, more liberal outlets. The Daily Signal, published by the Heritage Foundation, pointed out another email from the DNC Deputy Communications Director saying he could send out an alert to state parties not to respond to a request from the Washington Examiner because, quote, the Examiner is a right-wing rag. And the DNC didn't respond to a Fox News reporter who wanted a response on a Donald Trump statement on Bill Clinton's affairs. Instead, the DNC official called the reporter a crude name and said he didn't have an emoji for a profane response. One leak shows a political reporter asking DNC officials to review his piece on Hillary Clinton before it was published. After the leak, the reporter admitted he made a mistake.
People are only voting for Donald Trump. Most of his supporters are only voting for him because he's a white guy.
The MRC is running taxi ads and billboards in Philadelphia this week, hoping to draw attention to what the leaks show, an often cozy relationship between the mainstream media and the Democratic Party. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Two attackers murdered a Catholic priest in his church during morning mass in France today. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, which happened near the Normandy city of Rouen. The attackers killed the 84-year-old priest, then took several hostages. French police shot and killed the attackers and rescued 3 people. France is under a state of emergency after 3 terror attacks in a little more than a year and a half. The nation of Turkey has been becoming more Islamic, and now there are concerns one of the most important buildings in Christendom, the Hagia Sophia, could again be turned into a mosque. Dale Hurd has this story.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. On July 1st, the last Friday of Ramadan, the Muslim call to prayer was sung in the main sanctuary of the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. It set off alarm bells in the Christian world. This hasn't happened in more than 80 years. The great Christian basilica built by the Byzantines in the 6th century was converted into a mosque in the 15th century after Constantinople was conquered by the Ottoman army under Sultan Mehmed II.
First thing he did, by the way, after conquering Constantinople, was to go to Hagia Sophia and to take an axe and break down the Christian altar there to prove that another faith had now taken over.
This is a depiction of what the Hagia Sophia looked like before it was turned into a mosque and minarets were added. It would remain a mosque for more than 450 years under Ottoman rule. But by the early 1900s, the Ottoman Empire was dead, And in 1935, Turkey's secular leader Mustafa Kemal Ataturk changed the Hagia Sophia from a mosque into a museum.
He wanted to bring Turkey, kicking and screaming, into the 20th century. And for that, he wanted to secularize the state.
But now Turkey is going in the opposite direction. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's party has called for a new Islamic constitution. And in May, some of his followers demanded that the Hagia Sophia be made into a mosque again. The coup attempt this month against Erdogan has not only allowed him to consolidate his power, it has energized his Muslim base.
This coup has empowered President Erdogan more than ever. He was already the most powerful political leader in Turkey since Ataturk. And Erdogan can easily use this, yes, to establish more control over Turkish society, to bring a presidential system almost tailor-made for himself with little checks and balances. So that would be the next concern.
Erdogan has long been accused of trying to revive the Ottoman Empire. And that could mean that this great cathedral might someday soon be a mosque again. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And you can learn more about the history of the Hagia Sophia, the critical role it played in the collapse of a powerful empire, and its impact on the religious landscape today. That link is included in this story at cbnnews.com. Gordon?
Well, let me underline the importance of this. The Hagia Sophia, for 1,000 years, was the largest church in the world. It was the greatest cathedral. If you ever get a chance to go and visit it, it's absolutely a fantastic architectural marvel. And this was the place where all the Byzantine emperors were crowned. This was the seat, if you will, of their legitimacy, that this is what established them. Now, Constantinople was the Roman Empire's headquarters under Constantine. He moved the capital from Rome to Constantinople, and his descendants created this wonderful church there. Now, when the Muslims conquered it, when Suleiman conquered it in 1453, the first thing he did was ride his horse into that church, and he had an imam with him, and they did exactly what happened on July 1 this year. They issued a call to prayer. In the religion of Islam, that means it's now a mosque. It means it's dedicated to the worship of Allah, and they have conquered the other religion. Now, they were energized by a prophecy from the Quran that first Constantinople would fall, and then Rome would fall. That was the goal. And so to see this call to prayer once again in the Hagia Sophia, the Christian world needs to wake up. This is a highly symbolic act, and it's establishing Turkey once again wants to be an Islamic republic. Ataturk took them to be a secular state. They've been an ally of the United States. They've been part of a strategic alliance. But now, if they become an Islamic state, what does that mean? What are his goals? Does he want to reestablish the Ottoman Empire? Does he specifically want to take back the Levant? Now, that is a big deal, because that means he wants to conquer Israel. He wants to take back Lebanon. He wants to take back Syria. He wants to take back Iraq. He wants to take back Jordan. Those were all part of the Ottoman Empire at the end of World War I. They were all divided by the British, and the British had a mandate over Palestine. And that's how we got the modern state of Israel. It was created there. Now, if he attacks Israel, look carefully at Ezekiel 38. It talks about Gog and Magog, but it also talks about Gomer. And who is Gomer? Well, that's Turkey. So you see the rise of this. This is a new Muslim leader asserting himself in Turkey. Was this coup a real coup, or was it some sort of staged thing so he could consolidate his power? But we're seeing very clearly he wants to create Turkey, not as a secular state, but as a Muslim state. He's living under a secular democracy now, and he's saying we need to change. We need to create this as a Muslim state. And now, is he going to also announce he's a caliph and reestablish a caliphate, reestablish the Ottoman Empire? And what does that mean for Israel? Now, ISIS has created a lot of problems, but you talk about Turkey, their army is huge. And if they make a move against Israel, now we're talking about a conflagration that is mind-boggling. This is serious stuff. We need to pay very close attention to what's happening in Turkey, because literally we're seeing Bible prophecy fulfilled.